de Canadian Universities. Bienvenidos cada uno de ustedes, en realidad. Muchas gracias por tomar la tarde de estar aquí con nosotros. Para algunos de ustedes desde Colombia, otros desde México y probablemente algunos también desde otras ciudades de América Latina. Hoy día vamos a estar con varias de nuestras universidades, muy interesante la información que nos van a compartir. Y básicamente lo que quiero compartir al principio con ustedes es contarles brevemente acerca de este evento, que es el primer Canadian Business School Tour Latin America, donde vamos a tener a una serie de universidades canadienses líderes mundiales participando en los eventos como son la Universidad Alberta, Gustafson, de la Universidad de Victoria, Ontario Tech, Waterloo con Conrad School of Entrepreneurship and Business, Schoolage School of Business, McMaster University with the Groot School of Business, Odette School of Business, the University of Windsor, Ivy Business School, UBC Southern School of Business and Smith School of Business de Queen's University. Por lo tanto, en realidad, como ustedes pueden ver, tenemos un grupo importante de universidades que van a estar presentes en nuestros eventos en Colombia, en México, los días 12 de marzo en la ciudad de Bogotá, el día 14 de marzo, o sea, estamos hablando en una semana ya prácticamente, en Medellín, y de ahí posteriormente vamos a estar en México, en la Ciudad de México, el día 19 de marzo, y posteriormente el día 21 de marzo en Monterrey. Toda la información, obviamente, de este evento la van a encontrar en nuestro sitio web, que ustedes pueden ver aquí en este minuto en la pantalla, y adicionalmente les voy a compartir después todos los detalles donde pueden encontrar cómo registrarse, los que no se han registrado todavía, la información de la universidad y cómo estar bien preparados para este evento face to face que vamos a tener oportunidad de encontrarnos en una semana con los que están en Colombia y en una semana y media con los que están en México. Eh, Ahora, sin mucho más que eso, we are going to start right away talking about the agenda of the day. And basically, we are moving to everyone into English. So we were talking recently just in Spanish, but we are going to switch into English. Don't worry, everyone. We are not going to switch into French pretty soon. But because at this time, at least, we are going to be working just with Anglophone universities. But for sure, Canada is a bilingual country, and we have very important universities in English and French. Indeed, I am talking from Quebec, so I am in the Francophone part right now, and many of my colleagues are in different cities right now working in their own universities. Without much explanation, just I'm gonna provide you right away the information about the agenda. So basically, as I was mentioning, the idea is to talk about this Canadian Business Culture, where básicamente vamos a tener solamente universidades canadienses, vamos a tener muchos de nuestros partners en cada una de estas ciudades, tanto en Colombia como en México, que van a estar participando, como Air Canada, con sorpresas muy importantes. Por lo demás, para todos los que puedan estar presentes en el evento, ya nos han prometido cosas muy atractivas para los que puedan participar. Lo mismo en Colombia con el equipo de TOEFL IBT. Y obviamente también la Embajada de Canadá, va a estar la Cámara de Comercio Colombo canadiense y también nuestros colegas de Colfuturo y CETEX. Así que eso es Colombia. En el caso de México, vamos además a tener, además de Air Canada y los que ya les mencionaba, vamos a tener a otras instituciones como FIDER, FUNED, que son también muy importantes para cada uno de los que están buscando estudiar en el extranjero. But let's go to the most important thing right away, which is basically to listen carefully exactly what our colleagues from the universities have to say in their presentation. And we're going to start right away with panel number one, research, preparation, and conversation with two of my colleagues here. So representing Smith School of Business, Queen's University, Kerry Regan, and Ivy Business School, Western University, Lindsay Lipman. And so right now, please, Kerry, the floor is yours. We are going to start with your first 10 minutes. And I have your presentation here available, so I'm going to stop presenting this screen and I'm going to move to your slides. Just 1
Full
second.
service. Appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. So here we go. Please let me know when you are gonna see your screen.
Excellent. I think that's right.
Perfect.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Rodrigo, and hello, everyone. I wish I could deliver this in Spanish, but nobody would appreciate that. So I am going to deliver it in English. But it's a pleasure to be here and really excited to have this opportunity to speak to those of you we may have an opportunity to connect with in person over the next couple of weeks as we are heading into market. So really appreciate the opportunity to just provide some insights, tips, things that we think that you could be doing to make the most of the events that you plan to attend, such that you're extracting the most value and ultimately we're able to have some great conversations. So as Rodrigo mentioned, my name is Carrie Regan. I represent the business school at Smith School at Smith, Queen's University here in Kingston, Ontario. So we're about 2.5 hours east of Toronto, kind of half equidistant between Toronto and Montreal. So for those of you who might have some familiarity of Canadian geography. So I think probably, Rodrigo, you're going to have to advance the slides for me, yeah? There we go. Yeah, so that's me. We can actually skip that going to the next slide. So so the information that I have to share with all of you is really just some insights about how you can approach these events such that, again, you're really positioning yourself to extract the most value. And so I think that coming in prepared is probably and planning for the engagement that you're going to have with the representatives, many of whom you'll meet tonight, and certainly at the events. Is really sort of understanding what it is you want to extract, what kind of value. This is an incredibly important time to connect directly, create relationships with real people who have a potential to influence kind of what happens if you ultimately end up applying to one of our programs. So really making sure that you are preparing in advance. I think these kinds of sessions, and I applaud our colleagues at Caldo for incorporating them such that you can really feel like you know what you need to do in that preparation phase. So again, you may think that there'll be, really busy events and your FaceTime with representatives from the school doesn't mean a lot, but it does. It can be a way for you to actually create an impression and to encourage that representative to want to carry on that conversation well after the fair ends. So really taking the time to make the most of those engagements, I think, is really important. We see lots of candidates. We have lots of conversations over the course of a recruitment cycle, but the folks who, put the effort into standing out really do make a difference in terms of our ability to advocate for your candidacy, again, in application. So really taking some time to research the schools that you're planning to talk to such that you can have really engaged conversations. And next slide. There we go. So what is it that you should be looking at? How do you ultimately make sure that you're ready to have informed conversations? Some of the things that you could be thinking about are the types of programs that you're interested in learning about. So are you only interested in full-time programs here in Canada? Are you interested in more virtual delivery options, part-time, executive? The schools that you're going to meet with are all top schools from Canada. Canada. And so we have portfolios, many of us, of options that could be a good fit for you. But knowing the types of programs that you're actually interested in learning about beforehand is a great place to start. Things like duration, you'll see 1-year programs, 2-year programs, and thinking about what's important to you on that front and how much time you want to engage or commit to is also really important. Admission requirements, again, those should not be in the questions that you're asking at the table, because all of that information is so readily available on all of our respective websites. And, you've got decision makers coming as part of this event. And so if they're spending their time talking about basic admission requirements, you're really minimizing the amount of value you can have from those conversations. So I would really, really encourage you to evaluate and do that research beforehand to understand the basic elements of what makes up an MBA or other program application. Things like tuition ranges, those types of things as well are all things that are available on our website. So preparation is absolutely key. And I've kind of highlighted here, maybe the question isn't what is your tuition? Maybe the question is, given my 5 years in supply chain, how has your program assisted others in making a transition into consulting or some other pivot? Business school can be the ultimate enabler. And so getting into conversations with the representatives around the extent to which those individual programs can actually help you achieve your goals is a far better use of your time than having that representative regurgitate something that's readily available online. So some of the high value questions, I guess, that lead to really productive conversations are things like, what is it that differentiates students who secure top tier roles after graduation? So what are the types of things that the representatives from the various schools have seen with regard to profile, with regard to previous experience, with regard to test scores or other elements of the application that they have felt led to students being successful on the other end. Questions about schools supports available specifically for international students and job seeking specific to international students. That's a great question. Elements of identifying how leadership development is embedded beyond the classroom. So what happens in the context of student clubs and other co-curricular activities that ultimately can help you be successful. Experiential learning, what kind of activities the school provides in that context. And then in terms of fit, again, not asking about specific admission requirements, but ultimately, what are the things that if there are, most of us will take a very holistic approach to evaluating your candidacy. And so if there is an element in your profile, your application that you're not as confident about, engaging in dialogue with a representative from the school about things that you can be doing at this stage to strengthen your candidacy is also a great question. So, things like what common mistakes, leveraging the fact that you've got really experienced people at the table is a way to make the most of an experience like this. And then I think maybe our colleagues will get into this a little bit, but if you find yourself having a really great dialogue or conversation with someone you meet at a table representing one of our schools, feel free to ask to stay connected, whether that's through LinkedIn, whether that's getting a business card, and really take advantage of that opportunity to follow up and maintain that momentum or that conversation after the event. So sending a really concise and professional follow-up, referencing something specific that we talked about at the fair, reaffirm your interest in a particular program, like being as specific as you can and acknowledging the extent to which that conversation has impacted your ability to feel more prepared to apply for business school is a great way to be memorable. Sending a LinkedIn request, registering for a follow-up event. Most of us will have QR codes and materials at our table that direct you to event listings and activities on our respective websites. So taking that next step to engage and further that conversation and that relationship with the schools you're really interested in is also, I think, a really great piece of advice. Yeah, and then I think it's just, this isn't just about shopping, I guess. That's certainly part of it. And this is designed for you to investigate the programs and opportunities that might be available to you. But I think if you really lean into the preparation piece, you're going to set yourself up to be far more successful in getting those great offers, being considered for things like scholarship, creating connections with schools and the representatives in those schools who can ultimately help influence your success and ability to secure positions or opportunities in the program. So viewing the fair as a professional networking event, a first stage interview and an opportunity to create a great impression, and ultimately a very strategic career investment would be kind of my last three pieces of advice. So I think I will, actually throw it over to my colleague from Ivy to share some great insights. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Carrie, so much. You captured a lot of excellent material there. I don't want to be redundant, though. I think I'm gonna highlight some of the themes that you've already said as well, but some really informative information there about approaching fairs and in general approaching the postgraduate research and preparation side of it. So, hello everyone. My name is Lindsay Littman. As Carrie mentioned, I'm from the Ivy Business School at Western University. We are in the lovely city of London, Ontario. I am a Londoner and a local. Our city is about 2 hours south of Toronto, mid-sized city. Ivy offers a variety of master's programs as well, like many of my colleagues here across the board do. My focus is on the full-time 1-year in-person program, and that's what we'll be primarily targeting when we are at the Caldwell Fairs later this month, which really excited to get some warm temperatures. Very happy to leave the cooler temperatures here in Ontario. So, when we meet at the fair, I'm happy to share more specifics about our program, including scholarships, custom support, the admissions process. But I thought I would just take now time to highlight some of the key things for preparing to meet with us, meeting other schools, and some general best practices. This is a significant decision, whether you're choosing an MBA or a master's program. It does take time. It's not something you can just do overnight. It's almost like a part-time job in some degree of figuring out what is important to you. What is the program experience that you're seeking? There is a bit of reflection that we'd recommend you do in the beginning, is trying to get a sense of what's important to me. Do I learn better through conversation? Is that where I thrive? Am I better in smaller groups? Or am I someone that actually prefers more of a lecture, theater style conversation, more of a larger scale experience? Choosing an MBA program is more about the experience versus it. I mean, yes, it's a degree. Yes, it's going to live with you the rest of your life on your resume and help you professionally. But you want to invest in an experience that you're going to enjoy in. You want to reduce the risk of choosing the experience as much as you can. And so taking the time to not be a transactional buyer, to connect with schools at the fair, to connect with admissions teams in advance, that's a really big piece of advice that we want to share to everyone, that it does take time. We do understand that, but it is worthwhile if you do that. And I know Carrie mentioned as well, you'll present better. You'll show like a thoughtful MBA or master's candidate if you are asking questions beyond what's the duration of your program, what is the cost of tuition. These are some things you should do in advance. And I understand, and we all do, that going to especially Caldwell's events later this month, there's a lot of schools there. And you might think, how am I going to do research on all these schools? Again, do some of that reflection, start to target the schools that you think align with you, and have some of that preliminary research in advance. You really don't want to walk up to a school and say, how much is your tuition cost? That really isn't the best first impression when you focus on cost. Now, we are all very realistic. School is expensive. And so we understand the importance of it, but it shouldn't be the driving factor, the driving question when you are meeting all the various schools. Things as well as you should know that that where we're located. I mean, obviously Calder later this month, everything is in Canada. So that does save you from guessing on the country. Everyone will be located in Canada. But there are various cities and provinces throughout Canada. Some, as Rodrigo mentioned, Quebec, that speak French. Others, like us in Ontario, we don't speak French. We only predominantly speak English, especially at Ivy. But it is important to know a little bit more about the school or the location before you dive into the questions. The biggest theme for today, I would say, from what I'm sharing with you, is a lot of the knowledge that's important to help you choose the right experience for you is going to be beyond the website. You want to figure out, what is the culture like? What is the day-to-day like? Is it supportive? Are alumni involved in the experience? What's the recruitment team like? If you're moving from, let's say, Colombia to Canada, how do you relate to the corporate market there? How do you build a brand there? What's involved? Is there support for international students? You want to get more into the weeds, as we call it, versus just what's on the website. The website will certainly tell you what a program is like, but it won't really tell you the day-to-day. Now, we are big fans of podcasts at my school, so we've actually created a series of podcast episodes. So technically, you could go on and listen to an episode where alumni share their story and students. But as we all know, there's nothing like a live conversation. So I really encourage you to connect with alumni, current students, ask the questions. What most surprised you? How has the alumni network been? Is it worthwhile? Are you still drawing upon your experience in your career? What was the recruitment support like? And with admissions professionals like myself, we are really the experts on how you get into our program. And so while students and alumni can speak with experience, they really don't know how they actually got in and through those admissions barriers. So ask us the questions, and we're happy to give you some custom advice. Now, types of questions, it's overwhelming, because if you're saying, well, if I can't ask about cost or duration or really location, what am I supposed to ask? How do I not come across as not transactional? And this is where questions like, what types of students thrive there? What surprised you most once you started the program? How are learning teams formed? How do you build relationships with alumni? From an admissions side, what are the factors that are weighed most heavily when you are making these candidate decisions? Is it all about the GMAT or the GRE? Am I weighed on other factors as well? Even choosing professional references is a really great question to ask an admissions colleague, because we understand that maybe you haven't told your employer yet that you're leaving. So how do you then get a professional reference if you can't use your current supervisor? So those are more examples of thoughtful questions. You want to come across like you've done some foundational research. We sometimes see applicants that we call cold applicants, and it's really apparent in the essays. They haven't related the program experience to themselves. They've just cited things like rankings and reputation, but it doesn't actually explain so what? What does that mean to you? Why is it one you think you'll thrive in? And so I think as you're coming to these fairs, come prepared with some of this preliminary information already completed about schools, and then come up to us, ask the questions. As even Carrie mentioned, we're here to engage with you. We will engage with you afterwards. You can add us on LinkedIn. You can reach out through other forums, stay in touch with us. We want to help and guide you as much as possible. But at the end of the day, you have to decide what is the fit you're seeking, and then what schools fit into that experience that you're seeking. And then from there, you will actually be able to customize your application, work with the admissions advisor, and help yourself put forward a really strong application. So that's really what I had to say, in addition to what Carrie already shared. I didn't want to be too redundant with carrying over some of the themes that she had, some really great insights. But I know as a whole, we're really excited to meet you all down in South America and Mexico later this month, and appreciate your time coming out tonight.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you, Carrie. All the information that you have been providing has been very, very important. I remember my time when I was applying to the MBA. I did mine at Selfridge School of Business here in Ottawa. But yeah, all the things that you are sharing are crucial in terms of that process. So thank you so much for your insights. So right now, we're going to move to panel.
Rodrigo, perdón que te interrumpa, no se te escucha muy bien el micro.
Okay, what about right now?
Okay, it's better. Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't know.
Maybe just keep it a little bit closer.
Okay, perfect. So sorry. I was just saying that thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for your very important insights. So I think that it's crucial to have that information when you are applying from another country. So highly appreciated all your comments. Ahora nos vamos a mover al panel número 2. What are the next steps to follow and timeline? Aquí vamos a tener tres universidades más, tres colegas más de distintas universidades canadienses, como es el caso de The Groot School of Business, McMaster University, Ryan Schutt, Gustafson School of Business, y va a estar con nosotros de la Universidad de Victoria, Andrea Félix de la Rosa. Y también vamos a tener a Ontario Tech University y va a estar Angélica Rojas. Así que, sin mucho más, dejo con ustedes en primer lugar a Ryan. Por favor, Ryan, please, your turn. And you are going to manage directly your slides. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Yes, fantastic. Well, first and foremost, thank you all for attending here. Fantastic representation here this evening. So I'm really excited to get a chance to speak a little bit more. And first and foremost, my name is Ryan Schutt. I'm the manager of MBA Student Recruitment and Admissions over here at McMaster University's DeGroote School of Business. Similar to my colleagues before, we're just a little bit outside of Toronto. We're about an hour west of Toronto in Burlington, our main campus being in Hamilton. Now, McMaster University is seen as a top institution, not only here in Canada, but in the world, specifically when it comes to graduate studies and those types of focuses. The DeGroote School of Business, definitely seen as one of those institutions, the first named business school in Canada. So we're really excited to get a chance to share what it is we're focusing on and how we can support you on your journey. And I kind of find this panel funny in the concept that it is a bit of a journey. We're going from how you're going to prepare before the actual event, which, let's be very clear, most people don't, right? Walk in, I don't know anything about any schools. Maybe I know a couple logos and I'll walk up to them. But by the end, you hope that you're going to leave with maybe a pamphlet or a business card that's going to begin to direct you. So hopefully in your preparation beforehand, you're going to know who you're going to want to speak to a little bit more directly. But afterwards, the timelines become a little bit different, and it really depends on the institution. I want to start first and foremost by stating that if we're looking for September 2026 as a start date, we actually just had our last deadline last week, but we wanted to make sure as we were traveling with Caldo at the end of March that any students we met along this timeline would still be able to apply for September. Some other schools, I know that Carrie and Lindsay at Ivy and Smith, they're looking at a January start. So a bit of a different timeline and a bit of a different approach, maybe a little less urgent in the necessity to keep it moving forward. But in that scope, what I think is most important when we talk about these timelines is you need to communicate with each school. We'll all have individualized deadlines. We'll all have approaches that we think are best for you to approach on that deadline. And as I speak about DeGroote, we really want to be able to give you a chance to get to know us, but we also want to get to know you as a candidate. So we'll offer to complete a program recommendation for you, and we'll also do an evaluation of your transcripts to see if there's a GMAT waiver available. This may be similar for other schools as well, too. And this is really, as Lindsay was talking about, navigating past that cold lead phase, giving yourself that opportunity to engage with the school, really get to know them and understand how you're going to be of benefit in that space as well, too. As the timelines progress, this is where it's going to be integral to go back to what Carrie talked about, making sure that you've connected with someone on LinkedIn so you have someone to check back in with. I connect with a ton of people on LinkedIn. I send them the initial message, and then I never hear from them ever again. And I never understand why. Remember that the folks that are attending this event, this is what we love to do. This is what we're passionate about. So your timeline in approaching these events and approaching these programs, we're really interested in supporting you through that. In that same space, in the time that you meet us to the time that you apply, you need to continue your research. That can include things like booking a coffee chat with us, connecting with our current students or our alumni, and then asking them those questions a little bit more, right? How did you approach your application? And then coming back to your admissions professionals and giving us your game plan. I can't express enough. The student that comes to me and says, here is what I'm planning to do over the next 7 days, and outlines how they're going to approach, that then gets a note in their file that they're incredibly organized, they're planning, and they're preparing. We love to see those things, and we want to make sure that we can support you through that. Now, as the timeline progresses and you get closer to either applying and navigating forward, you're going to start thinking about the next thing, which can be scary. the evaluation period. You know, the point from you've submitted your application, and I like to call it the hurry up and wait period. The opportunity for you to sit there and think about all that you submitted to us and what may come next. Well, during this time, don't become stagnant. Continue to reach out to alumni, continue to learn about the programs and navigate in that space so that when that fantastic day comes, usually between, 4 to 6 weeks after submitting your application, and you get that offer letter, you can then begin taking the next steps right away. And the next steps that you should be focusing on are understanding the full aspect of how you're going to fund your program. So speaking directly to the program about funding opportunities, scholarships, speaking about FUNED or Call Futuro, and then engaging in those places as you work forward. That's a bit of an overview, and I know my colleagues are going to go into some other spaces as well too. But really what I wanted to land here today is that you're taking the initial first steps. You're preparing yourself in an effective way. Follow through is the next thing that's going to be most important. Attending the event, engaging with the schools that you find to be most interesting, and finding your match. I think Carrie and Lindsay really nailed it when they were talking about the fact that you can look at rankings, you can look at structures of classes, you can look at specializations, but it's actually the experience within the program that's going to change whether it's the right opportunity for you. So that's what I look forward to most along this tour in both Mexico and Colombia. I'm excited to meet you all there. I believe I am handing it to Andrea next, so I will hand it that way, and I look forward to seeing you down south.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm gonna attempt to share my screen now, so bear with me. Hey, wonderful. Hello, everyone, and thank you for making the time to join today and learn a little bit more about what we all have to share. My name is Andrea. I am originally from Mexico City, so I'm actually very excited to use this trip, not just to get to know all of you, but also to visit a little piece of home. I haven't been there since August, so I'm really looking forward, like Lindsay said earlier, to the warmer weather as well. I am joining you from the University of Victoria, which is located in British Columbia, in the capital city of British Columbia, which is Victoria. You might have heard of Vancouver. We're really close by. We're only a ferry ride away from there. And since I do have colleagues from different parts of Canada, I would be remiss not to brag about our weather being probably the most temperate out of all of us. So really no Canadian winters here. We barely get snow. It melts within like a couple hours. So if weather is important in your list, please come talk to me at the event. But yes, I am joined by my colleague, Millie or Milagros. I think she will be speaking a little bit more to a different kind of program that will be represented at Caldo in Mexico City and in Monterrey. So I'll pass it over to her afterwards, but I really will sort of recap a lot of things that I think have already been covered by my colleagues. Again, we're not trying to be repetitive. I think we're really trying to emphasize on the importance of you doing the research ahead of time so that it really does lead to better conversations for all of us, but really a really pointed outcome for you and what you're hoping to get out of these events in sort of finding your match, as has been said, right? There's a lot of choice. It's a big country with tons of different incredible opportunities. So really at the end of the day, the more research you do, the better the outcomes will be for you. So you get into it, how much you put into it. So before you meet us in person, as has been said, you'll want to know about the program basics already, like structure, specializations, types of programs, length of programs, things like that. My tip to you is probably to really think about the 3 schools or 5 schools potentially that you really want to start with, because time flies by at these kinds of events as well, especially when you're having really meaningful conversations. So maybe start with 2 or 3 questions pointed to those specific institutions or about those programs that you're best aligned with or most interested in. And to do that, I think as has been said, you'll really want to reflect on a lot of things about what you're hoping to get out of the postgraduate studies. Whether it's career goals, personal growth, relocating to Canada, or getting a skill set in a greater North American context. We're talking US, Canada, Mexico overall, but potentially bringing that perspective back into the Latin American context, right? A lot of students I've seen come from Mexico City in particular, I will say, but wanting to go back to Mexico City afterwards. So relocating to Canada is not always the end goal. And so while immigration is a huge part of the timeline, I think, it shouldn't always define your end goal. That's one that I would give you from personal experience as well. So lots to think about, right, in terms of motivation. But after you meet with us, again, as has been said, I think you want to act quickly. 48 hours is typically the parameter, I think, because conversations are fresh, impressions have been made. And again, it's really to signal that you are very interested. Then start thinking about how to personalize your application based on the conversations we've had. Stick to your own deadlines, as we suggested. Create your own timeline, right, for what you want to work on over the next week, year, month, however long that timeline really looks to you. And stay connected with us. I did say stay proactive here, but really, I think that just means to stay engaged, show interest. Don't just sort of disappear and then come back into our lives 2 days before you actually submit your application. We really do want to support you and are here to engage with you. This goes a little bit more specifically into our 3 graduate programs. I'm not going to go into detail now. I think I'm just using it as an example and showing you how the different components across different programs can look so different in terms of audience, in terms of the focus, in terms of what we expect to see in your application. So the research that you will do leading into the event, but also after having talked to all of us and distilled that into which one fits best with what you're looking for and which one fits best with the audience that is typically within that program, or the one that it serves best, if you will. This type of information will become so clear to you and how it translates into your application. So again, to make the process so much smoother and simpler for you, sort of those preliminary, easy tidbits of information that come through the website pretty clearly, you can really distill in longer conversations or more pointed questions at the event to then afterwards, within that timeline that you'll build yourself afterwards, really start to create almost like a draft or an outline of what an application for you could look like. So again, I'm just using this at a high level just to show you how across our programs this would be really different for 3 different audiences. But again, this is just an example to show you how clear those conversations will become in terms of what are you then looking for in an application. So again, not to be incredibly redundant, but the more research and the more time you put into it, the better and easier to create that application will become for you. Now, this is a sample timeline. Really the end goal here is that the earlier you start is always best. As Ryan mentioned, everybody that we meet in this tour is still going to be, for the most part, welcome to apply for most programs. Again, that's a very general statement, but at least in the case for us in our graduate programs, you're absolutely welcome to still indicate interest. That being said, if you are doing this well ahead of time, then probably a year in advance is what we typically tend to see. And again, most of these statements are pretty general. We're not saying it is 12 months in advance, you have to start now. But the more time you give yourself, in truth, the less limiting or the more flexibility really you'll have when it comes to making choices, applying for scholarships within and outside of the institutions that you're applying for, immigration timelines. We know how quickly those can change and how stressful it can be because a lot of it is out of your control, right? So the more time you can give yourself to do the research, to really ask the questions, to have conversations with us, but also with program partners, right? Alumni, instructors, faculty members, everybody who plays a role in it, and the more informed that decision can become, again, the better your overall experience in the program will be because your expectations are very much in line with what the program actually is. But also on sort of a starting point, the better your application will be as well, because you've clearly put a lot of time and effort into it. So just quickly moving through this, and again, this is the ideal timeline, but we're not saying you have to be married to it. A year in advance is the best time to start gaining preliminary knowledge, so attending events like this, absolutely. Starting to do your research, as we've said, preparing for English tests, for GMAT tests, URI tests, depending on whether your program requires them. A little bit before, 10 to 8 months, you really start drafting the elements of your application, right? And potentially starting to talk to or thinking about which references you might want to tap into. 8 to 6 months before, this is probably the usual time we see students applying, especially international students. Again, to mostly give yourself time to apply for immigration paperwork that will come soon after. So moving into that, like I said, 6 months before, this is when the admission offer typically comes through. You choose whether do you want to pursue that offer or wait for different offers as well. And then once you do accept that offer, then you would begin the immigration components attached to that. And then shortly before, 4 to 0 months ahead, then of course you would start to plan your housing. Housing can happen a little bit beforehand too, but again, this is just to give you an example. And really start to have deeper conversations about what comes after you do your graduate degree, right? So that career preparation, which definitely comes with the intention of wanting to do the program typically, but you probably start to reflect more so on that piece than the rest of the application itself, because you're in. Now, after the fair, again, this has been said or shared in different ways, but after you have a chat with all of us, just really sit with that information, reflect on how you want to move forward. And like we said earlier, within 48 hours, typically, just because that's when the information sits with you pretty fresh. Connect with us, whether that's on LinkedIn, whether that's an email, whether that's a phone call or a Zoom call that we set up afterwards. Just have a little bit of intention behind it. Don't just do it transactionally, like for the sake of doing it. Use that beautiful warmth that I think I see in a lot of my Mexican students, but also just in Latin American students. Use it. Intention really comes with you, ingrained in the culture. So definitely just stay in touch. You do that so naturally and so beautifully already. Not that I'm biased. And then again, as you move through that program, you'll really start to become more acquainted with which one suits your needs and your interests best. And then, of course, you'll create a timeline based on that to then start creating all the application components as well. Overall, I think the tip I want to leave you with before I move you with my colleague Millie or Milagros, who will speak to a different kind of program that we offer at Gustafson. Just stay engaged, stay in touch. Like, I think what we're saying is do your research so that we can meaningfully engage in the little bit of time that we have in the next couple of weeks. But overall, I would say that this type of event, this type of engagement that we're having today really marks the beginning of an ongoing conversation, potentially for the next year, sometimes even longer, sometimes shorter, right? But use us as a resource to help you. You're not going through this alone. This is not the only conversation we'll have. In fact, I would hope that this only creates more questions and you'll want to reach out more. So look at any and all of the suggestions we've given you here to really just stay in touch, keep asking questions and ask for help where you need it, because we are here to help you. With that, I will stop talking and I'm going to pass it over to Millie or Milagros to go over her slides, which I think there's 5 of them.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrea. Sorry, I'm talking in UA. Yeah, I made it. Buenas tardes, everyone. So for students who aren't ready to commit to a full 1 or 2 year graduate program, the University of Victoria also offers an excellent alternative. We have short-term summer business programs, and these programs are designed for students who want to build practical business skills, gain international experience, and enjoy life on Canada's most beautiful West Coast, all just within a few weeks. And at the University of Victoria, our summer programs provide a fast, flexible, and affordable way to enhance your business education. You can earn academic credits towards your current degree, expand your international network, and also develop a strong cross-cultural communication skills. Every year, we are having students from all around the world: Germany, Japan, China, Mexico, and many more. And the feedback has always been overwhelmingly positive. And you will also be you'll also benefit from hands-on learning through workshops, company visit, and cultural activities. And also, as Andrea mentioned, of course, the location plays a very big role because our university is based in the city of Victoria. So you will study in the mildest climate in Canada. And our city offers ocean views, beaches, nature trails, and a peaceful, friendly environment, ideal for learning and personal growth. So next slide, you will see that we offer two summer programs depending on your study level. For undergrad students, we have the International Summer Institute for Business Management. You can choose either July or August intake. This will be 3 weeks program for undergraduate students. And for graduate level students, we have the program called Summer Graduate Business Studies. And this program lasts for 5 to 6 weeks. And also these programs are taught by the same award-winning professors who teach our MBA programs. So it would be a very good opportunity for you to have a sense of the learning experience here in Canada and at UVic. Also here on this slide, the previous slide, you can see, the next slide, the application timeline. For undergrad applicants, we would suggest you to start to apply the program through March to April. And ideally, it would be great if you start to apply for your visa if required. And our first intake, the July program, will start on July 2nd, and the August program will start on the 3rd of August. This will give you 1 extra month for preparation if you don't have time. And then for the graduate applicants, the timeline is similar. Through March to April, you can submit your application, and we highly suggest you to begin your visa application not later than mid to end of April because the course will start on June 15th. And overall, UVic short-term summer business programs offer a wonderful combination of academic learning, global exposure, and a beautiful supportive environment. Also, we provide an excellent introduction to what studying in Canada feels like, helping you make a more informed decision about your future academic and career path. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Contact Andrea and also Milagros, or just leave us a comment, questions in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you, Yue. Thank you so much, Andrea, for your information.
Rodrigo, perdón, tu micro está muy bajo.
De nuevo, perdón por el micrófono, no sé qué pasó. Por favor, thank you so much, Yue. Thank you, Andrea. Angelica, please go ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. I'm not sure if I should speak in Spanish to do a brief summary of everything that my colleagues have said before, but just for us to have like a brief or very like condensed idea of what everyone has been discussing, I will give like a small summary. So please bear with me while I share my screen. I think here, oops. You can see it, hopefully. Yeah,
No yet. No yet.
no?
Yes, right now we can see.
Awesome. Then it is very important for you to know that each of the institutions that are participating in this webinar and in this event are very good institutions in terms of academic possibilities. I will switch now to Spanish for the summary, but básicamente las universidades que están aquí participando el día de hoy tienen un muy buen standing a nivel internacional y académico. Son instituciones top en Canadá, no solamente para áreas de investigación, sino también para áreas de negocios, que es justamente lo que estamos abordando el día de hoy, que también estaremos revisando el día del evento. Y esto es un pequeño como resumen de lo que ustedes podrán ver cuando asistan al evento y puedan acercarse a cada uno de los representantes que estamos aquí. Como lo decía, mi nombre es Angélica Rojas, soy la representante para Ontario Tech University en América Latina. Rodrigo, ¿vas a decir algo?
Sí, te quiero decir algo que en realidad tú sí puedes ponerlo como una presentación, porque lo tienes como...
Perdona, no te escucho muy bien.
Que lo pongas como una presentación.
Ah, claro. A ver si allí ya podemos verlo. ¿Sí?
Ahí está perfecto, gracias.
Vale. Entonces, básicamente, para contarles como un poco sobre lo que tendríamos que considerar en este momento, es que cada universidad va a tener unas fortalezas o especialidades específicas. En el caso, por ejemplo, de Ontario Tech, nosotros somos una universidad que está ubicada en Ontario también, al sur de Canadá, muy cerca de Toronto, a solo 45 minutos por auto. Esto hace que uno de los idiomas oficiales también sea el inglés y esta es una de las principales razones o circunstancias que debemos revisar al momento de revisar si Canadá es nuestro destino ideal para el destino académico. Lo que debemos tener muy en cuenta es que nos van a pedir sea que tengamos inglés o francés, además del español, y no solamente un nivel conversacional de cualquiera de estos idiomas, sino un nivel más allá, un nivel académico. Y para ello debemos prepararnos de la mejor manera y tener las herramientas del idioma necesarias para poder tomar el programa en cualquiera de los idiomas que se escoja. A nivel de Ontario, como lo dijo también anteriormente Lindsay, nosotros hablamos en inglés, así que el inglés va a ser el idioma que se necesite para ingresar a Ontario Tech y esto normalmente toma un tiempo, perfeccionar el idioma, sacar el examen de proficiencia y el puntaje que necesitamos. Así que siempre va a ser muy importante que se preparen para estos exámenes, sea con la institución misma que les ofrezca un curso de inglés como para propósitos académicos o a través de un proveedor externo que les pueda dar las bases necesarias para poder contar con las herramientas. Ahora, cada una de las instituciones tiene una oferta diferente de programas. Como pueden ver aquí, Ontario Tech University tiene muchas en el área de ingeniería, pero también tenemos, digamos, componentes desde la parte de negocios, finanzas, que no solamente están ubicadas hacia estas áreas, sino que cuentan con herramientas adicionales en inteligencia artificial, en analítica de datos, en áreas que ahorita están muy en demanda para el mercado profesional y que les van a dar un plus en el área ya cuando ustedes se gradúen y empiecen a buscar empleo en Canadá. Así que siempre es muy necesario que ustedes empiecen a hacer toda la búsqueda y la investigación de cada una de las instituciones con antelación, que empiecen justamente a usar herramientas como ChatGPT, por ejemplo, para que les puedan dar una idea de qué me gusta, cuál de las instituciones que está aquí podría ser más afín con lo que yo me sueño hacer una vez me gradúe y, por supuesto, tener también muy presente qué clase de programas pueden darme las mejores opciones de empleabilidad posteriormente, sea en Canadá o sea en otro país, dependiendo de cuáles sean sus prospectos a futuro. Ahora, la mayoría de las instituciones canadienses tienen dos intakes grandes, uno en septiembre y uno en enero, así que por lo general las maestrías se pueden abrir en cualquiera de estas instituciones en estos tiempos, pero siempre es ideal que, como lo decían mis colegas previamente, ustedes se comuniquen con las instituciones, se pongan en contacto con los representantes y empiecen justamente allí a hacer todo el proceso de pesquisa, de revisión académica y de poder también tener esas ayudas por parte de nosotros para poder entender mejor cuáles son los requisitos y el proceso de aplicación a la universidad. En este momento, Ontario Tech por lo menos tiene abierta su convocatoria para septiembre del 2026, así que si alguno de ustedes está interesado en empezar desde ya, podemos ir haciendo la revisión de los procesos y aplicando en este momento para este intake. De lo contrario, pueden empezar a hacer como todo este proceso de preparación previa que contempla el inglés, el programa de estudios y también la parte financiera, porque es algo que ustedes deben empezar a contemplar desde ya. Nosotros por lo general tenemos monedas diferentes a el dólar estadounidense o el dólar canadiense, así que es muy importante que empecemos a revisar todo lo que necesitamos para cubrir no solamente el costo del programa, sino también el costo de poder mantenerse por un año a nivel de manutención y vivienda, que es lo otro que pide la Embajada de Canadá para poder hacer este proceso. Canadá da también tres grandes requisitos que yo considero muy importantes para estudiantes internacionales. El primero es que ustedes pueden trabajar mientras estudian. El segundo es que ustedes pueden también tener la posibilidad de aplicar un permiso postgraduación por hasta 3 años, dependiendo del tipo de maestría que ustedes escojan. Y adicionalmente que ustedes pueden viajar con sus familias. Entonces, dependiendo también del programa y de las especificidades del que ustedes escojan, van a poder tener la opción de viajar con su pareja, con sus hijos e incluso tener como la posibilidad de que la pareja trabaje trabaje a la par que ustedes están estudiando, mientras ustedes también pueden trabajar medio tiempo y que sus hijos puedan tener también la posibilidad de tener educación gratuita hasta los 17 años, que también es muy importante. Ahora, el tema del inglés, súper importante. No solamente tenemos que tomar el curso de idiomas, sino certificarnos a través de alguno de los exámenes de proficiencia. Puede ser alguno de los que está aquí listado. Cada institución tiene una tabla diferente o un tipo diferente de exámenes que acepta, así que es siempre importante que ustedes lo puedan revisar. Y finalmente, revisar el proceso de aplicación. Como lo decía Andrea de UVic previamente, es muy importante que ustedes se preparen con antelación, que empiecen a revisar las aplicaciones de ser posible un año antes de cuando ustedes piensan que puede ser el inicio de las clases en Canadá y empezar justamente a hacer todas las pesquisas de qué documentos necesito. Seguramente necesitarán traducciones también, así que el proceso de traducción, revisar también todo el tema de las referencias, que también lo decía previamente Ryan. Entonces, súper importante que ustedes verifiquen todo para que cuando apliquen, por lo general, ya tengan todos los requisitos necesarios y los documentos, por supuesto, que cada una les requiere para poder acceder. Creo que esto es también algo que debemos tener en cuenta y es que dependiendo del programa al que yo voy a aplicar, debo tener también un background académico, es decir, qué estudios previos he tomado para poder acceder a ese programa de maestría. Dependiendo del interés que ustedes tengan, pues es necesario también contemplar que si vengo de un programa diferente, por ejemplo, al área de negocios, finanzas, necesitaré tomar un GRE o un GMAT, que son exámenes especializados para estas áreas, y esto también tiene un proceso de preparación. Entonces, siempre será lo más importante asesorarse de la mejor manera en este respecto y aprovechar que las universidades que estamos aquí justamente estamos tendiendo este puente para que ustedes puedan no solo preguntarnos a nosotros, sino también empezar a hacer todo el proceso de aplicación de la mano de cada una de las instituciones. Les dejo igual mi información de contacto. Espero verlos muy pronto en el evento, sea en Ciudad de México o en Bogotá, donde ustedes escojan ir. Y también es muy relevante, o en Chile, perdón, también tenemos una opción. Y es muy importante aquí también resaltar que vi que había muchas personas interesadas en el tema de becas. Hay algunas instituciones que ofrecen o becas o también opciones de financiación. También vamos a estar revisándolo más adelante. No me quiero adelantar, pero en la feria van a tener también diferentes stands con instituciones que les podrán ayudar en ese respecto y creo que es muy importante que se puedan asesorar en este sentido. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Angélica, por tu participación e información. Muchas
Rodrigo, perdón, tu micro, por favor.
I don't know what's going on with my microphone. Anyway, actually, it was working before, but can you hear me right now?
Sí, un poco más pegado, por favor.
Okay. Well, basically, thank you so much, everyone, for all your presentations. Thank you, Angelica, for your final presentation. I think that is exactly what you were just saying. Creo que es muy importante lo que dice Angélica en términos de que en las ferias que vamos a tener en Colombia y en México van a estar también instituciones que son claves para el financiamiento. En el caso de Colombia, Colfuturo, ICETEX. En el caso de México, FIDER y FUNED. Eso adicionalmente a lo que cada una de las universidades podría poder tener algún apoyo en alguno de los casos. Así que eso es importante que lo puedan ir preparando con anticipación. Having said that, I'm going to move quickly to the questions. I have been selecting a couple of questions here that I see on the screen, and I'm going to share some of those questions are with some specific names, others just random to every one of our panelists. But I'm going to start with this one from Diego Gonzalez. What are the most common mistakes applicants make when applying to graduate programs, and how can they avoid them? That is the first question. Someone, Angelica, I see you on the screen, so do you want to go right away?
Sorry, I was reading a comment. Could you please repeat the question?
I don't know. What are the most common mistakes applicants make when applying to graduate program, and how can they avoid them?
So, I don't know if I should answer in English or Spanish.
It's up to you.
Creo que una de las principales errores que cometen los estudiantes al momento de aplicar, y ni siquiera es un error, pero creo que entre mejor preparados estemos, siempre va a ser mucho más fácil llevar todo el proceso de aplicación. Hay algo que a mí me parece muy importante y es que empecemos a ver la viabilidad del programa para nuestro futuro profesional. Es decir, no es hacer un máster por hacer un máster, es hacer un máster pensando en qué me va a traer de plus para mi vida profesional, qué voy a tener como de retorno de esa inversión que hice en la parte educativa y por supuesto qué, digamos, adicional me va a dar el programa frente a X o Y otro programa que pueda escoger. Creo que todo esto hace parte de algo que debemos tener en cuenta desde el principio, pero que a veces por decir como, ay, es que me gustaría hacer un MBA porque el MBA considero que es el programa más importante de todos los programas, quizás estemos dejando de lado otros que puedan ser mucho más viables para nosotros, de acuerdo con nuestro perfil personal y con las opciones también laborales que tengamos a futuro. El tema académico también es súper importante que revisen si cuentan con el perfil académico deseable para ingresar al programa. Muchas veces tenemos estudiantes que aplican y desafortunadamente la escala no es la que deberíamos tener para poder ser aceptados y luego se llevan una decepción. Entonces, entre más claros tengamos los requisitos, el proceso de aplicación, todo lo que nosotros tenemos a nivel general para ofrecer y nuestro perfil académico y profesional, va a ser mucho más fácil que encontremos un match y que seamos exitosos en este proceso de aplicación.
Muchas gracias, Angélica. Also, a quick question for Lindsay or Carrie. What is the best way to make a strong first impression at a graduate school fair like this one that is coming?
I mean, I do think Carrie and I touched on some of those key factors that to keep in mind. One is to do some research. So I would say what not to do is don't walk up and say, what's the cost of your tuition? That's definitely a primary thing to avoid doing. We do understand the financial investment, but I really enjoy when someone walks up and they say, you know, what sets you apart from other schools? I know this about myself. I really like learning this way, or I found through my professional journey, I like working in small groups more than larger scale, you know, situations. So is that an experience that you offer? So I do think it's nice if you can, to some degree, customize the question more about yourself, your background, and again, not have that totally transactional, how much does it cost type of an approach at the fair.
Thank you so much. Carrie?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And I think it really comes down to just asking really good questions. I mean, if you want to be memorable, if you want to stand out, if you want to have the folks you're talking to actually invested in learning more about you, then asking them really good questions off the hop can really do that. So part of, I think, what Lindsay shared there was around research and doing that in advance, and also some self-reflection to her other point around what's actually important to you. And when you think about going to business school, structure of the program, culture of the program, which I think we've also talked about, and knowing that about yourself can also help inform how you might frame those questions and that engagement to be memorable.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Andrea, ¿tú quieres comentar lo que señalabas en los comentarios acerca de la pregunta de Alfredo? Que eso de alguna otra manera puede ser interesante para todos.
Claro, estoy revisando la pregunta de Alfredo aquí. Ok, Alfredo comenta que se está graduando pronto, felicidades Alfredo, de Ingeniería en Computación y quiere unir ahora sí que su skill set en ingeniería con negocios. Y esto la verdad lo vemos bastante seguido en cuanto a estudiantes con un perfil académico en cierta área, como ingeniería, por ejemplo, queriendo moverse a lo que es el programa o algún programa de negocios ya a nivel de másters. Y la verdad yo diría que la gran mayoría de las universidades presentes aquí hoy ofrecen un programa que actúa como ese puente entre las dos. Personalmente, para la Universidad de Victoria, la Escuela de Negocios Gustafson, sí ofrecemos precisamente este tipo de programa, ya con 4 áreas de concentraciones que ya pueden ustedes investigar por medio de los tips que les hemos dado el día de hoy. Pero como ven la respuesta de Ryan también comentó que tienen 2 programas que posiblemente pueden ser grandes oportunidades para ustedes. Entonces, si esa es la motivación para perseguir un programa de negocios, o sea, me estoy moviendo de un perfil académico a otro, pero no quiero perder vista del skill set que ya traigo, definitivamente todos, yo creo, tenemos varios programas que cumplen con eso.
Muchas gracias, Andrea. Thank you so much. So, Ryan, I'm going to move to your opinion about what do you think that are the best? I am following a question here, doing translation of a question sent by Sebastian. What are the methods or tools or resources recommended to do a good application and succeed in your application process? What are the tools that you recommend or the, I don't know, resources that could be used for that?
Yeah, let me give you a tool that I don't recommend. Do not put your application into ChatGPT or Gemini or
Please
Copilot.
no,
I've
don't.
read that application 50 times this year, and that person isn't coming to our program. Best resources are the people that are on this call. They can help you formulate your story. And I think in that space as well, too, Carrie and Lindsay talked a bit about how you can be memorable. Tell us what you're interested in. Help us help you. I can't read your mind and understand if you're interested in supply chain or AI, or if you're interested in healthcare and you want to, support the growth of opportunity in your country. I don't know those things. So come in with a story and tell us what it is you're interested in, how you want to expand and how you want to grow. Then we can pair you with the right people. Many of us here have been working with the similar programs for multiple years. We have current students and alumni in our Rolodex that we would like to connect you with. I can't connect you with the right student if I don't know what it is you're interested in, or where you're headed. So we're the people who have the tools and utilize us as such. The last thing that I would really highlight on that, though, is preparation is actually your best tool. So if you have to do a video interview for any of our programs, which I'm sure is just about all of us, showing up, sitting on your bed and not doing any research beforehand, not the best preparation. Sitting there with your examples written out with a plan on how you want to approach it and what you want to share with us, dressing professionally and navigating through that. Those are the little things that score you extra points along the way and really leave you as a memorable candidate.
Thank you so much, Ryan. So right now, before wrapping up everything, I just want to ask to every one of the colleagues here if you want to give some final words before wrapping up the session. I don't know. I will start in order. Lindsay, some final words before ending the session.
For sure. I think the final words is do the research. Take the time. It does, and I re-emphasize this. It takes time. It can be overwhelming, but as Ryan and all the other colleagues have said, we are here to help and guide you along the journey. So do the work, take the time. It will pay off.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Carrie?
I think leveraging this as a strategic part of your process is my best advice. So, I can recall many instances coming back from a fair abroad, a recruitment event, just being really excited about candidates that I've met on the road. Be one of those people. Be one of those people that gets us excited about seeing your application down the road and really advocating for your candidacy. And so part of that is just really approaching this from a strategic perspective and seeing the importance of this and how it fits into your overall application journey. And we're just really excited to meet you. So thanks for showing up tonight.
Thank you. Andrea or Juwe? I don't know if Andrea or Juwe want to say something.
Sure. I'll just say, do the research, absolutely. Let us be excited about meeting you. We already are, but also be authentic. I think sometimes students get really caught up and nervous in making such a good impression that you lose sight of how you normally show up. So to the best of your ability, show up as you normally are as well, but show up prepared as well. So it's a fine balance between the two, but by being here today, you're already on the right path. So looking forward
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Ryan?
I'll build on that. You're here today, so when we see you in a week or 2 weeks, tell us that you were here today. Let us know what you enjoyed about the webinar. I'll pause in that space as well too. As much as you're looking for information from us, we're looking for information from you. What could we have done better? What can we provide on a more clear aspect. Let us know how we can improve here. We're continuously looking at how we can improve the experience and make sure that you feel fully supported through this journey.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Angélica?
Yo les diría que aprovechen estas oportunidades, aprovechen que tienen tan buenas universidades que van a estar en estos eventos, vayan, no les cuesta sino un poco de su tiempo, pero esto va a ser un proyecto que ustedes probablemente les cambie la vida. Entonces, aprovechen la oportunidad en este momento, hagan preguntas, todo lo que les decían mis colegas, traten de informarse lo mejor posible y en este evento ponerse en contacto directo con nosotros porque les podemos ayudar a hacer esos sueños realidad.
Muchísimas gracias, Angélica. Simplemente me gustaría darle las gracias a todos los que han estado acá. Thank you so much to my colleagues from the university. Thank you for sharing your insights, very useful information. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes por tomarse el tiempo de estar esta tarde acá. Acá ustedes pueden ver que está también el sitio web donde está el proceso de inscripción para Bogotá, Medellín, México, Monterrey. Y además, ustedes en esta sección pueden ver donde está también el detalle de cada una de las actividades, donde son las direcciones, los horarios. En el caso de Bogotá, la próxima semana entre 4:30 y 8:30 p.m. y el sábado en Medellín de 3 a 7 p.m. Lo mismo sucede en el caso de México posteriormente. Y aquí también está la explicación de los paneles, todo lo que va a ser la información que vamos a compartir, experiencias de admisión, experiencias de exalumnos y además poder obviamente entregar la información de cómo ustedes pueden, preguntas que surgieron hoy, pueden financiar sus estudios. Eso es parte de lo que vamos a entregar y eso lo pueden ver para los dos lugares. Así que los invitamos a compartir esta información y los esperamos en los próximos días. For sure, you are going to be very happy to meet our colleagues. Exactly as Ryan was saying, I think that it's crucial to mention that you are following up this pathway. You are taking this journey through Canadian institutions, and we are going to be just Canadian institutions that they are there. So the idea is to increase, showcase, and to really highlight what Canada can offer. And that's the reason why also we have been inviting some important alumni from Canadian institutions, Colombians, Mexicans, that will show you exactly how they have been passing through this journey from the beginning up to many of them that are right now living here in Canada, working with Canada, from Colombia, from Mexico, and that's something that is very important for every one of you to get to know. So, having said that, muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes. La verdad que ha sido un agrado tenerlo en este segundo webinar en preparación de los eventos. Tomen las recomendaciones muy en serio. No lleguen, por favor, a preguntar los puntajes que tiene la prueba determinada en una universidad, porque todo eso está en la web. Así que en realidad traten de hacer su proceso de investigación a priori y hagan una buena impresión con naturalidad, como dijo Andrea, porque muchas veces, y es entendible, que puedan estar nerviosos, pero lo importante es que sean ustedes. Los buscamos a ustedes, a las personas que son los futuros líderes de Colombia, México y muchas otras partes en América Latina y en Canadá. Así que, encantado. Thank you so much. Y los esperamos en una semana en Bogotá y en 2 semanas en México. Hasta la próxima. Chau, chau.
Muchas gracias.